What up guys, it's Jules here for WhatCulture.com, joined as ever by Phil Chambers, Adam Wilborn, the Dadley Boys and no one else. And yesterday it was Wrestle Kingdom 12. Boy howdy, wasn't that a good laugh. Japery and shenanigans all over the place. We watched it and now it's time for our star rating, because that's what we do. We are critics. Fight!
Ooh. Now, Young Bucks versus Roppongi 3K. It's really not that daft to suggest that the Young Bucks aren't the best tag team in the world now. At very least, they're doing far too much to suggest that they're still the spot monkeys that the old timers on Twitter still seem to think they are. Just like they did in all of their major New Japan matches last year, Matt and Nick Jackson parlayed all their usual circus stunt work that goes down really well in tiny independent shows into a massive arc that suited one of the biggest live and television audiences of the year. Now, the contest still had all of the major spots that the Young Bucks are great at. You had your double suplexes, your dueling sharpshooters, even a little slap fight and a Boston Crab that perfectly played on the fact that the Young Bucks constantly harass the Roppongi for still being young boys. Ultimately though, the work on Yo's back was the true story of the match. Matt and Nick absolutely hammered the injured back, and it made it all the more satisfying when Ro was able to get the tag and do to Matt what they'd done to Yo. Nick and Sho's standoff late in the match was rooted in comedy, but it carried the weight of the vicious beatings that preceded it. It's really part of the contemporary artistry that all four have managed to assemble in this and all of their other previous battles. Now, that's the 7th IWGP Junior Tag Team title win from the Young Bucks, so the celebrations were a little bit muted compared to some of the other title changes on the show. However, the match was absolutely bursting with quality. It's something the Young Bucks are so consistent for, and it's starting to carry over with their opponents such as the Roppongi in this bout. Sho and Yo put in a creditable performance against arguably the most famous and most divisive tag team in the wrestling world, and there's still loads left on the table should the teams revisit their feud later in 2018. Overall, 4 stars.
So, another year, another gauntlet match for the titles. Anyone used to watching WWE multi-man matches must have been wondering what the was going on. And whilst it was an enjoyable mix of mayhem and technical ferocity, it did kind of feel in parts like it was just a way of cramming 15 wrestlers onto the card. So we had the team of War Machine and Michael Elgin, who kind of seemed like when your mum asks you and your brother to keep your cousin entertained. But they were soon dispatched by Suzuki Gun, who themselves were eliminated by Chaos. They then knocked out Taguchi Japan, so we were left with Chaos versus Bullet Club for the titles. This bit was probably the highlight of the match for me, with Ishii just basically being given the chance to be Ishii, suplexing Bad Luck Fale and the good guys prevailing thanks to Beretta's Dude Buster. But all in all, it was kind of disappointing. Certain people needed more time, others didn't get any moments to shine whatsoever, and if you combine that with the general sort of hodgepodge nature of this Gauntlet match, it means it only for me gets 2.5 stars.
Holy balls, that crossroads off the apron down to the mat was insane. If you thought the one he did on the rampway was good, screw that, this was 10 times better. And what can I say about this match? Cody and Kota very nearly stole the show with this one. It was one of Cody's best matches of his career, I think his best in New Japan. He was just at his absolute heelish best with lots of little juicy moments. You had Brandy brilliantly feigning injury at the beginning, only to reveal that it was just a ploy all along. You had Cody screaming in Kota's face, "Kenny doesn't love you like I love you." And of course, Cody has shown that he absolutely deserves to be on a stage like this, and when up against a partner like Kota Ibushi, you absolutely cannot go wrong. Kota had an amazing 2017 with a fantastic showing in the G1, and he's heading into 2018 to prove that he is one of the best in-ring workers in the world. I think we all thought that Kota Ibushi was going to win this one, but along the way we got plenty of physicality with both men kicking out of big moves towards the end. Kota's golden triangle moonsault was a thing of beauty, and the Phoenix Splash to finish was just a cherry on top. 4.25 stars.
On a card of so much hype and expectation, it sort of felt like a few matches got a little bit lost in the build-up, no more so than Killer Elite Squad defending their IWGP tag titles against Evil and Sanada. Now, first of all, it was really nice to see Davey Boy Smith Jr. paying tribute to his dad by wearing the exact same sort of jeans attire he had doing his WWE run, and as expected, this match quickly became a one-sided, brutal demolition derby of sorts. Smith and Archer annihilating both their opponents and the ring crew was hilarious, and although the pace kinda sagged a bit in the middle, it picked back up brilliantly for the final few spots, and there were some terrific close calls. Look, it was probably a little bit longer than it needed to be for such a straightforward bout, and I think the kind of story they were telling we've seen plenty of times before in much shorter matches, but you can't argue that it delivered 100% on its basic premise. So for that, we're going to give it 3 stars.
Right, when it comes to hair versus hair matches, I'm pretty much a pro. I mean, I know what it's like to have God lift you up into the heavens and wipe his ass with your head until it's shiny and barren. So I knew that the stakes were pretty high when Suzuki and Goto started squaring off. Or at least they would have been if Suzuki hadn't been the heel with a head that looked like it was full of mange and Goto didn't have such ever-flowing and beautifully enviable locks. The winner from the outset was clear, but that doesn't mean that this wasn't a spectacular match. There were stiff shots aplenty and the sense that Suzuki might actually be one of the most understated psychopaths in the business. His quiet, frightening resolve was matched only by his threshold for pain. Basically, it was great wrestling with more impact than TNA ever had. 4 stars.
So here's one that absolutely rocked me. In the 32 years of the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship, it had never once been defended in a fatal 4-way match. Now, given WWE put the Intercontinental title in some kind of multi-man cluster about twice a month, that's pretty cool. But sweet, merciful Christ, on a card with so many great matches, it fell to Will Ospreay, Kushida, Takahashi and defending champ Marty Scurll to, in the minds of some, steal the entire goddamn show in one of the most inventive and exciting fatal 4-way matches I think we've ever seen in any promotion ever. But sweet, merciful Christ, on a card already packed with great matches, it fell to Will Ospreay, Kushida, Takahashi and Marty Scurll to, in the minds of some, steal the entire goddamn show with one of the best, most exciting, most inventive, most unpredictable fatal 4-way matches we've ever seen in any promotion. Ospreay was his typical superhuman self, you've probably already seen the gifs, but every single person in this match brought their A-game and delivered accordingly. It was nowhere near as patronising and as by the numbers as we assume these type of matches will be. There was nobody who was clearly there to eat the pin, and going into the last 10 minutes, absolutely any single one of them could have won that. There were some jaw-dropping spots and counter spots where Ospreay was involved, but Takahashi's repeated through the rope sunset flip to the outside powerbomb was an absolute joy to behold. In fairness, every single one of the 4 guys came out of this looking like absolute megastars, so we're going to give it 4.5 stars.
The much-hyped introduction of Jay White's Switchblade character told a fabulous story, but perhaps not the story that New Japan Pro Wrestling intended. That storytelling was brilliant and very clever. It didn't need to be a festival of high drama, high danger and high spots, because Tanahashi is the best psychologist on the planet. This was a tale of a wily, weakened old lion going up against a hungrier, fitter cub in Jay White. Tanahashi, you could amputate 2 of his limbs and he would still be better than 99% of the wrestling world. The man gets better psychologically the more he gets battered physically, and it's not often wrestling produces matches of genuine pathos, but the genius psychologist that is Hiroshi Tanahashi delivered it at Wrestle Kingdom 12. We're not entirely convinced that the match reached its true objective. Jay White should be the focal point of this conversation. He isn't. Therefore, this is a slight notch below Tanahashi's usual elite standard at 4 stars.
Right, no pressure. It was the match everybody was talking about going into Wrestle Kingdom 12, the dream match. But as much as we were all looking forward to it, you have to admit we were all a little bit worried it wasn't going to live up to expectations. But we needn't have been concerned, because for many, myself included, Omega and Jericho exceeded our expectations in a brilliant car crash, if there is such a thing, a car crash spectacle of a match. The no DQ stipulation was genius in allowing the older Jericho to hold his own against one of the best younger wrestlers in the world. But even so, who thought they'd go 35 minutes? Now, we all already know how good of a heel Jericho can be, of course, but he nailed it yet again, didn't he? I mean, 1 minute he was putting one of the ring crew in a lion tamer, the next borrowing a camera so he can take some lovely snaps of himself flipping off the crowd. And where do you start with Kenny Omega? I mean, you've got the entrance, you've got the announce table spot, you've got all those bumps he took, including that one on the ropes from Jericho's springboard dropkick. You've got him pissing blood all over the place, and just all of the V-triggers, all of them. It was ludicrously entertaining. The one-winged angel into the walls of Jericho got me. I thought that was it. And I thought if that had happened, it still wouldn't have actually harmed Omega's reputation. That's how good it was. It was ludicrously entertaining. The one-winged angel into the walls of Jericho got me. I thought that was the finish, and it wouldn't have affected Omega's reputation if he tapped either. Now, granted, the whole rope grab in a no DQ match was a little bit weird, but that final one-winged angel onto the chair was just a devastating way to finish a brilliant match. So, to sum up, Kenny Omega continues to prove he is a 1 in a million star, and Chris Jericho looked fantastic despite his age and despite how long that match went. Look, it wasn't the most technically proficient match, but that's not why we were watching. It was a war. 4.5 stars.
Well, wasn't this something? This was less of an epic and more of an odyssey. This started off slower than a snail on Valium, but ended up being so uproarious that you thought that it could have taken the entire foundations of the Tokyo Dome off of its hinges. The build up to this match was spectacular, basically pitting an underdog who had the support of the crowd behind his every move against the champ. Not just the champ, actually. A god to New Japan. Brutally stiff shots and some incredible in-ring work meant that both men were positioned as true competitors, and the back and forth, false finishing ending left you feeling so satisfied and so drained, like 500 quid a night prostitute drained. To give it anything less than 5 stars would be an insult. And I know what people are going to say, that maybe it wasn't the perfect match because the right person or the wrong person won. But at the same time, it was perfect for both of them. Neither man gave an inch and both stormed out of the Tokyo Dome as ultimate victors. It was a great match. 5 stars. And there we go. That was our star rating for Wrestle Kingdom as well. You get used to it after a while. How did you find that?
That was awful.
Yeah. What, the video? Or
Everything.
Okay, cool. Well, let us know what you thought about it down in the comments section below. Then like, share, and subscribe. Head back to whatculture.com for more news and articles like this every goddamn day. I'm Jules. You've been awesome, and I'll see you soon. Woo! Hey guys, thanks for making it to the end of the video. Aren't you a star? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe below. And also, there's probably more content floating up above my head, so why not check that out as well? Could be a laugh. Probably. 6 out of 10.